button. So, welcome. We're going to start lying down, and if you have available some stuff like a pillow or a yoga block or both, blanket, I'm going to lie myself down and put the pillow under my head. And what I was thinking is if we could bend our knees and put something between our knees. So I'm going to use my block, but you could use a cushion or a book, maybe a paperback one that's got a bit of squish to it. So you've got something between your knees. So we're going to lie on our back, support the head, bend up the knees and put something between the knees. And then wrap your arms across your chest. So you give yourself a little bit of a hug, and that's going to help to widen the upper back. Have a deep breath, then spread your arms out to the sides and keeping your elbows nice and wide, just fold your forearms in and rest them over your lower belly. So we're going to start something like this, quite a nice contained, gathered position with the back long and wide and easing out. And I want to invite you to rest your eyes. You can close your mouth, but keep your back teeth parted. Just take a little bit of time to allow yourself to settle and arrive. I'm going to share a chant about turning from not knowing towards knowing, from darkness towards light, and from death towards life. Asatoma satgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, vrityama amritam gamaya. Om. Asatoma satgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, vrityama amritam gamaya. Asatoma satgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, vrityama amritam gamaya. And I would like to suggest that you gently channel your breath so the breath becomes slightly slower, and also slightly softer perhaps and smooth. Letting the breath move if you can through the nostrils and gently rubbing in the back of the throat. So we're using a soft ujjayi breath, victorious breath. If you're unsure about this breath, I'll never tire of this little experiment. You let your mouth open and exhale from the back of the throat like you're steaming up a mirror. And just do that 2 or 3 times, and it's nice because you can feel the power, you can feel the energy there on your exhalation as it goes out into the space in front of your face. And in the ujjayi breath, you close your mouth, but exhaling in the same way, so you feel that rubbing in the throat. You feel it on the inhale as well, but I think the exhalation feels particularly powerful or victorious. And that power or energy of the exhalation, instead of it going into the space in front of your face, it kind of somehow stays inside. So you might direct it into the space underneath your hands. And I want to encourage you each time you exhale also to just gently squeeze your block or cushion. So whatever you put between your knees, or you can just squeeze the knees themselves together. And then you release it just slightly on the inhalation. And then with your exhalation, there's this sense of directing the attention or our power, our energy inside the body, and this gentle squeeze on the knees. So perhaps we start to feel on each exhalation something like a kind of lock or a seal. So when you inhale, you are opening slightly and welcoming in breath, welcoming in life and vitality. And then as you exhale, you let the breath out, but something of that life, that energy stays behind and is directed, channeled inward. So we'll continue in this way. We're going to keep the block between the knees. But now as you inhale, you might need to lift your hands off your belly just an inch or two. So you're kind of making a gesture that goes with this feeling of opening up. You can spread the fingers. And as you exhale, bring the hands back down onto the tummy and gently squeeze your block or your cushion. And so on. So I'm going to inhale and the hands lift up away from the belly. And as you exhale, resting the hands back down onto the tummy and squeezing the block. Just 3 or 4 more times. We're looking for a nice feeling that the inhale has a quality of opening and spaciousness, and on the exhalation, a quality of gathering, focus, or storing up energy in some way. A bit like recharging a battery, this. And then at the end of your next exhalation, take the block or the cushion out from between your knees. And if it's comfortable for you, straighten your legs. So you're going to be lying on your back with both legs outstretched, and you can rest your arms on the floor by your sides. If that is not comfortable on your lower back, what you could do is put a bolster or a couple of pillows behind your knees so you can lie with your legs outstretched, or bend up your knees again, and then just see if it's all right just to straighten out one leg. And you could work one leg at a time. Or you could put your feet up onto a chair. So we want to be reclining back, but then with our feet free. So we can wiggle our toes and circle our ankles. That's where we're going to be moving to next. This could also be done sitting up and leaning back on something. I'm going to stay on my back here and demonstrate from this position. So when you're ready, pick up that ujjayi breath again. So inhaling, exhaling through the nose, letting the breath rub in the back of the throat. And we're going to make a movement with the toes, and it really is just the toes. So as you exhale, you curl your toes inward like you're gripping pencils or holding pom-poms, something between your toes. And then with your inhale, you're going to open the toes out, spreading the toes. Now, don't worry if there's not a lot of movement here. It's thinking about the movement is almost as good as doing the movement itself. So it's just a movement with the very tips of the toes. As the breath comes in, you open them up. As the breath goes out, you curl them in. And both feet together if that's possible, or you can do, say, 4 times with one foot and then swap the legs around and do 4 times the other. As you inhale and open the toes, it's almost like you could invite more breath in through the gaps in between your toes. And then exhaling. Again, the breath goes out, but there's something of the vitality, the energy of the breath that stays behind. Locking it in, sealing it in. So inhaling, the toes spread and slightly open, and with the exhale, they curl in. And moving from this practice just with the toes, we're now going to work with the ankles. So you might give your toes a little wiggle, and then point your toes away from your face so the front of your ankle joint opens. So this is a movement now in the ankle joints, but if I said to you point your toes, that's probably what you'll do, like a ballerina. So the toes point forwards, front of the ankle opens, that's your inhale. As you exhale, press gently into your heels so the tips of your toes move towards your face. And that's closed. So inhale, we're going to open the front of the ankle, toes point away from your face. Exhaling, lengthening into the heels and the toes point towards your face, closing the front of the ankle, and continue. And please bear in mind that I'm definitely not telling you when to breathe. So I'd like you to breathe at your own pace, soft, slow, steady, comfortable, with attention, with awareness. And then the movement joins in with the breath. So we also want to keep the movement slow, very conscious, very mindful, so you really feel all the sensations associated with each movement. And your attention is very much in the joints that you're moving. So here your attention can be in the ankle joints. I'm just very curious about how this movement feels. Is it easy? Is it a bit stiff? Are there any interesting creaks or clicks as you flex your ankles forward and back? And we're going to do this movement just another 2 or 3 times. And then continue to move at the ankles, but now in a circular way. So if you start with both feet pointing upwards, the toes of both feet pointing upwards, like the hands on 2 simultaneous clocks pointing to 12 o'clock. And now you're going to take both feet around in a clockwise circle, moving halfway around with your inhalation and halfway around with your exhalation. Nice and soft and slow and steady. Really curious about how that feels in your ankle joints. Is it easy or is it a bit creaky? Is it a circular movement or does it feel more like a kind of hexagonal movement? Are there corners? Or can you get this nice and smooth? Halfway around with the inhalation, halfway around with your exhalation. The 2 feet moving in the same direction and simultaneously. If you're lying on your back like I am, you probably can't see your feet. It doesn't matter. You can close your eyes and really feel the sensations in your ankles as you circle the feet around at the ankle joints. Try not to move the knees too much. I can feel my knees wanting to join in as well. So the knees can stay quite still and keep the movement mainly in the ankles. At the end of your next exhalation, change direction. So we're going to go anti-clockwise. Do be careful that you don't speed up. This is a great one for speeding up, this one, the circular movement. So keep the breath soft, slow, steady, smooth. Halfway around as you breathe in, halfway around as you breathe out. So we're turning with the breath. And circling the ankles. Good. So we'll go around another 2 or 3 times with this in this direction, both ankles circling anti-clockwise. And then we're going to take a little pause. So you let the feet come to still, let your breath settle, so go back to just a normal natural breath. And see what you notice. If you're comfortable to close your eyes and let your feet become alive in your awareness, in your attention. So if you can't see your feet, you might wonder, how do I know they're there? And just experience the sensations in your feet, in the arches of your feet, in your ankles, in between the toes. And the next movement we're going to do, we're just going to do one leg at a time, and it's a knee movement. So from where I am lying on my back like this, I'm just going to bend one knee up. It doesn't really matter too much which knee you choose. So you can leave the other leg straight, or you can bend that one as well and put your foot on the floor for a bit of stability. So that's up to you. If you're sitting, you can just bring one knee up in towards your chest. So here we've got the knee joint closed, flexion in the knee. And then start like that, and then breathing in, you straighten your leg. So you could straighten your leg straight up towards the ceiling, or you could straighten your leg back out along the floor. You can try both. As we breathe out, you're going to bring the knee back in towards the chest. So breathing in, you're going to straighten the leg and let the knee open. And as you breathe out, you're going to bend the knee in towards the chest. So there are a number of different ways of doing this movement, of opening and closing the knees. And I want to just say that the most important thing really is that you're getting some movement for your knee. So you find the movement that is most satisfying for you today. So I'm going to do it like this. Inhale, straighten the leg, open the knee, exhale. Bend the knee, close the leg in. So as I inhale, there's a feeling of opening. And as I exhale, there's a feeling of gathering in, closing. Breathing soft and smooth and steady. And letting the breath rub slightly in the back of the throat, so you've got that ujjayi breath. So another thing I've been showing with my hands, supporting, you can do it with your hands unsupported, just move the leg without supporting with the hands. Lots of different variations. But try to keep your attention in the knee joint itself. Is it moving easily? Does it feel stiff? Any funny sounds? Knees can be especially musical, make funny noises. Generally speaking, that's okay unless it's uncomfortable. If you do encounter discomfort in any of these movements, what we're looking for is a sense. You usually just know inside yourself whether it's a discomfort that's going to be helped with gentle movement, or if it's a discomfort that's telling you don't go there. So you need to be the judge of that for yourself, really. We're going to do this one more time. So inhale, open. Exhale, close. So bring the knee in towards the chest. Great. The next movement is for the hip, so working on the same side. And again, we've got a couple of different options here. So the first is just supporting this knee with your hands. You can circle. So making a circle with your knee that creates a movement here for the hip that you're working on. It's a circular movement, so we're going to go halfway with the inhalation and halfway with the exhalation. So a variation for anyone, if that isn't feeling good for any reason, is to put your foot down on the floor and then just work with a little open and close, like a kind of half butterfly. So bring the knee out to the side and then bring the knee back to the center. Inhale, open. Exhale, gathering back in. So either of those movements for the hip at this point would be very lovely. Halfway around with the inhale, halfway around with the exhale if you're doing a circle. And if you are doing a circle, you might want to change direction after a little while. Lovely. Okay, so we'll go around, we'll open and close another 2 or 3 times. Therefore, you don't speed up. And then we're going to take another pause. So you could straighten out both legs along the floor, or if you've got a bolster or a chair to put your feet up, put your feet up. And take a moment to compare and contrast. So again, closing your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Let the sensations of your legs come alive in your awareness. See if you feel any difference between the leg that you've just been working with and the leg that's waiting now for your attention. Just do a little comparing and contrasting of left side and right side, and then we are going to move on and do the other knee and the other hip. So your second side. So you're going to bend up your knee. You can bring it right in towards your chest if that's comfortable for you. And then carrying on. So inhale, the leg straightens, opening the knee, and exhale, the knee bends. In your way, whatever way you're able to access this hinging movement of the knee. So it can even be as simple as this, just then foot on the floor and knee bent up, and then legs straight. Open, inhale, exhale. Remember, I'm not telling you when to breathe, so you find your rhythm, and then find a movement that you can add to the breath so that the knee is bent as you breathe out, and then the leg is straight as you breathe in. And you're being very curious as you do this about how your knee feels, whether this is comfortable movement, whether there's any restriction. or challenge, and particularly inside the joint. So if you're feeling that sort of grizzliness or stiffness, what these practices do is they help to bring lubrication into the joints. So they're bringing, creating good circulation and bringing fluid into the joints. So hopefully what we're going to experience is a greater sense of ease or freedom. I should really have said sooner, but that these exercises don't need to be done at 100% of effort. They almost work better when you back off a little bit. So working with about 50 to 60% effort. And the emphasis is less on trying very hard and more on just really paying attention to the sensations in each joint as we take it through its comfortable range of motion. So we're going to move from this knee to the hip on the same side. So let me just remind you, we've got two options really for working with the hip. The first is a circle. So you can support with your hand and circle the upper thigh around in the hip socket, a bit like stirring a pot. And you go halfway around as you breathe in, and halfway around as you breathe out. It might be more comfortable or accessible for some of you to leave your foot on the floor and then take a half butterfly. So taking the hip open, external rotation, knee moves to the side, inhale, and then as you exhale, bringing the knee back in. And you can go ahead and try both of those. See which gives you the best sensation. It's really important that we keep coordinating the movement with the breathing in some way. If you're circling the hip around now, you might want to change direction. And do watch out for the tendency to speed up, which I think most of us have. And it probably manifests in lots of different situations, not just these joint freeing exercises. So something to watch out for in life, our kind of human tendency to start rushing. See if you can keep it here nice and slow. There's plenty of time. We are not in a hurry. So we can really savor the sensations in each joint as we move and let ourselves create some space in our joints, but perhaps also in our day. Lovely. So I'm going to do 2 or 3 more breaths for this side, for this hip. And then again, take a pause. So you could pause in constructive rest position with both knees bent up, or you could pause with your legs outstretched. Let your breath settle. And let the sensations of your legs come alive in your awareness. Perhaps you can rest your eyes and let your attention be in your knees, in your hips, perhaps a little in your lower back or lower belly. See what you notice. And next we're going to work with both hips together. So again, I've got 2 options, and you may like to try both, or you may find that one just works better for you than the other. So the first option is to bend up your knees and bring your feet and ankles close together. And you're simply we'll do the full butterfly now. So as you inhale, you're going to open both knees, and as you exhale, bring the knees back together. So both hips moving, open on the inhalation, closing on the exhalation. Your hands could get involved as well, opening the arms on the inhalation, gathering the hands in on the exhalation. Option 2, which you could move on to if you want to, is to bring the knees up in towards the chest with your hands on your knees and circle. And this one, if you circle the knees away from each other and then gather them back round and in. So you're stirring 2 pots at the same time. And we're going to go halfway around as we breathe in and halfway around as we breathe out, taking care not to speed up. Nice and slow and steady. Notice as you do this practice the sensations in your hips, but also in the lower back. Maybe the changing pressure in the back of the pelvis as the hip movement creates shifts and changes, small subtle changes. When you've been circling a little while in one direction, I encourage you to try the opposite way. If you can circle your knees back around the other way. Great. Halfway around as you breathe in. Halfway around as you breathe out. Okay, we'll just do 2 or 3 more breaths with this double hip movement, and then come back to our resting or pausing position. Could be seated, could be lying, however, whatever your base position is for this practice. And again, be curious, pay attention. What sensations do you notice? Perhaps now in the back of your pelvis, or in the hips, in the abdomen. Okay. So next we're going to make an arm movement. If you're lying on your back, what I suggest you do is bend up your knees and roll over to one side. It doesn't really matter too much which side. If you had a cushion or a block between your knees earlier, you could employ that here for a bit more head support. So your head's nicely supported. You can lie on your side, bend your knees and keep your knees together. And then the top arm is going to reach up into the air. If you're doing this practice seated, you're just going to choose an arm and you can reach your arm up into the air. You're looking for a nice light feeling through your fingers and in your wrist and in your elbow. And then drop your fingertips down onto your shoulder. And imagine you dipped your elbow in a pot of paint and you're going to paint spirals with this elbow. So a spirally circular movement. So of course we're going to go again halfway around the circle with the inhalation and halfway around with the exhalation. And once you know what you're doing, I really encourage you to let your eyes rest, let your jaw rest, so soft jaw, soft throat, feel the breath rubbing in the back of the throat. It almost sounds like the ocean, like the sea. And the movement just floats on the breath. And we're going to go around and around several times. So you can keep going just like this. Maybe we'll go around the opposite way a few times with the fingertips on the shoulders. So we're doing elbow circles. But you might also at some point feel you'd like to open up your arm and do this with a straight but not tense arm. So you let your hands float up away from the shoulder and you can sweep the arm around in a big circle, like a big sunshine or a big full moon. Really important as you do that not to let it get too stiff. So see how my elbow here is a little bit bent. It's quite floaty. And I'm mobilizing the shoulder and also a little bit the thoracic spine, so the center of the chest. Working, remember, you don't have to work at 100% effort for this. 50 to 60% will do nicely. Keep it soft and smooth, coordinated with the breath. And if that, if this, sometimes with the arm extended like that, it can feel a bit too heavy. So keep the fingertips on the shoulder. So we're prioritizing here the joints today. So you want a comfortable feeling as you move for each joint as you move it. If you want to try again, go back the other way, change direction. Notice if you might be speeding up and see if you can counter that tendency by keeping it nice and slow. And we'll just go around 2 or 3 more times with this arm, this shoulder. And then we're going to take a pause. So pause. If you're lying on the floor, you might like to roll back over onto your back. I encourage you, if you're doing that, to spread your arms out wide. Align your chin with your breastbone and compare and contrast here the shoulders, left shoulder and right shoulder. See what difference you might notice, any difference in sensation. And then roll yourself over to the other side so you can take that practice on the other side. If you're seated, then you're simply going to now raise your other arm. So you want that nice soft feeling, floaty wrist, soft elbow, then the fingertips drop down onto the shoulder. And to start with, just little elbow circles, like you dipped your elbow in a paint pot. And painting circles halfway with the inhalation, halfway with the exhalation. Great. Keeping it nice and slow. Feeling the sensations in your shoulder and also that top side of the chest, towards the side of the chest that you're working with. Maybe keeping your fingertips on your shoulder, you could try that the other way. So circling around now in the opposite direction. And keeping that ujjayi breath, so victorious breath, has this lovely quality of power, of vitality, of energy. We store up inside us. So you may like to now try lifting, extending the arm, keep the full arm circle. If that's too much load on the joint, keep the fingertips on the shoulder. So it'll either feel really good to do that, or it might feel a bit, we're looking for good feelings, good sensations. We're looking for freedom and spaciousness, and ease. And we're going halfway as we breathe in and halfway as we breathe out. I want to invite you again to change direction if you haven't done so for a little while. Or if you just have a sense that there's one direction of movement that feels really good and is what your body needs, continue in that way. Halfway as you breathe in, halfway as you breathe out. And I should say also that you can take little pauses of your own whenever you feel you need. So if you begin to tire, to take little rests. What I have found with these movements is the longer you do each one, if you can, as long as you're not trying too hard, keep it soft. Usually you start with a certain amount of range of motion, and then by the time you've done it a few repetitions, you find you've actually got more range of movement. It feels a little easier. Sometimes a joint might be really stuck, you might be working with frozen shoulder or some sort of injury in any of our joints. And even if you can barely move it at all, just sending the attention there and breathing into it does make a difference. Okay, so I'm going to wind down this movement with the arm you're working with now. Take another little pause. If you're on your back, if you're on the floor, you might like to roll onto your back again so you can really feel the upper back and feel the sensations in the shoulders. The next movement we'll do is for the full length of the spine. So from seated, whether you sit on the floor or in a chair, you can make this movement by lifting the breastbone, sitting up very tall, and then by tucking the chin and rounding the spine and moving forward and back like so. Inhale, opening the front of the body. Exhale, closing the front of the body. If you're able to, I'd like to suggest you come onto hands and knees to do this cat-cow movement. So you can, I'm going to put this padding under my knees, my blanket. It's not really needed at the minute. So knees under the hips, hands under the shoulders, or you could be on your knuckles, or you could even rest on your forearms. But if you do that, you might want to put some blocks or books so that your shoulders are more level with your hips. And then off we go. So we're going to lift the breastbone and glance upwards. This is our inhalation. As you exhale, tuck your chin and press the back of your waist up towards the ceiling. So we're going to inhale and open the front of the body. And exhale and close the front of the body. When I do this practice, I like to imagine I have a tail. So as I inhale and lift my face and lift my breastbone, I'm also lifting my tail into the air. And then with the exhalation, I'm going to tuck my chin and I also tuck my tail. So imagining I could touch my nose with my tail, and that really helps me round my spine. So inhale, opening the front of the body. Exhale, closing the front of the body. And continue at your own pace, nice and slow and smooth, taking little pauses at any point if you need to. But this practice is really lovely for creating more fluidity in the spine. So we call it the spine, but it's actually a collection of 34 individual vertebrae. And in between each vertebra is a little padded disc, or which I like to think of as a cushion. And this practice helps to plump up those cushions in between the discs. So if you have any pain or discomfort or kind of issues around the lower back, just be particularly careful that you don't overdo the lifting of the tail and kind of get too dippy here. So you can keep that a little bit more supported. And same the other way really, you don't need to force it or push beyond what feels comfortable. Even the smallest little movement here is going to be helpful. Even no movement, just aware of the spine and moving in, breathing into sensation. That's what I meant to say. Now we're going to take a little pause. So you could come to sitting, or if it's accessible and comfortable for you, you could sink your hips back towards your heels and rest your forehead on the floor or on your fists. One potato, two potato, forehead on your fists. And pause. Let the breath be free. And be curious about the sensations in the back surface of your body. See if you can feel or create a lightness in the skin on your upper back. And feel the breath moving there into that soft, spacious feeling in the upper back. And next we're going to come to an upright position. So you might be happy just to come and kneel up like I am here, or you might prefer to pull up a chair and sit on a chair. I'm quite happy kneeling like this for a little while, but I'm actually going to put a block between my feet so I can kneel back onto that. I'm being especially nice to myself. I put a cushion on top of my block. You might like to kneel on a bolster or some folded blankets. You may not like kneeling, in which case don't choose kneeling for your seated position. So you find something that works for you. You could even do these next practices standing up if you prefer. So it's going to be upper body practices. We just want the legs to be comfortable. Standing, sitting, kneeling, cross-legged, whatever works for you. And we're going to start and roll our shoulders like this. So keeping the arms relaxed by your sides, but then drawing your shoulders right up towards your ears, and then dropping them down and away. And finding some way in which this could coordinate with your breathing. So I believe you. For me, it's like this. I'm inhaling and then sighing them down, exhaling. And I'm also happy to share with you that as I do this, I can actually hear my left shoulder sort of go, there's something interesting going on in there. So that might be your reality as well. Sometimes our shoulders make interesting little sounds, or we feel the knottiness in our muscles there. Try going the opposite way. Reverse the direction. Just a simple shoulder roll. Halfway round with your inhalation, halfway round with your exhalation. Notice that tendency, which I think we all have, maybe you don't, but I certainly have, to speed up. Try and keep it nice and slow. And then take a little pause and just let your arms rest by your sides and your hands on the lap. Notice the sensations in your shoulders and maybe just around the base of your neck. And next we're going to make some movements for the neck. So the first one is nodding. I'm going to say yes. So it's a bit like if you remember those nodding dogs that people used to have in their cars and drive along, and the dog's head would wobble. So it's quite soft. You're going to let your chin drop down slightly and feel the back of the neck open. And then you're going to lift the chin up and feel the front of the throat open. So let's let this be our inhalation, opening here in front of the body. And then as you exhale, drop the chin down. So inhale, lift the chin, and exhale, drop the chin. Some of you might enjoy adding this little extra detail. So if you put your fingers just below your collarbones, and you apply a bit of pressure just below your collarbones, as you lift your chin, you should feel an interesting stretch here for the scalene muscles just in the front of the throat there. And exhale, that's released. So again, don't let this be too forced or too tight. Keep your jaw soft, back teeth parted. This is an interesting one to do while you're talking, actually. I'm going to shut up for a minute and do a couple myself. And then we're going to take a pause. See what sensations we might notice in our throat or around the back of the neck. So next we're going to practice saying no, turning the head one way and then the other way. The thing to notice, watch for here, is that often when we turn our head, we actually look one way but also slightly lift it, so the chin lifts up, like I'm looking up to the top corner of the room there. So I want to catch myself doing that, and instead imagining a central axis from the top of my head down through the neck into the center of the chest. The head just turns around that central axis and I don't lift the chin. And then back to the center. So let me just do this and then I'll show you the other way. So hopefully this makes it clear what I mean. So as you turn your head, we're not lifting the chin and looking up at all. Okay, you want to keep the chin level as you turn from side to side. Once you've got the hang of that, start at the center and breathe in. As you breathe out, you're going to turn your head to the right. Breathing in, back to center. And breathing out, turn your head to the left. And you could definitely try this with your eyes closed. And definitely not be too ambitious. So it does not need to be a big movement. In fact, often with these practices, less is more. And if you have been concentrating very hard on everything I just said, you might want to check that you're not wrinkling your brow or clenching your jaw, or tensing your shoulders so the upper body stays nice and relaxed. And just very gently but clearly turning our head from side to side. Yeah, and practicing no. Practicing saying no is actually quite a good thing to do in terms of keeping space in our lives, freedom. So we'll do one more to each side. And then bring your head back to center, so you're looking forward. And now we're going to be a two-spouted teapot. So you're going to imagine your head is a teapot with two spouts, one out of the right ear, one out of the left ear. And so you inhale, and as you exhale, you pour the tea out of one ear. And inhale, come back to center. And exhaling, you pour the tea out of the other ear. And inhale back to center. And please watch out for that speeding up thing. So this needs to be nice and slow and soft. Gently tilting the head one way back to center on the inhale. And then over to the inside. Okay, and settle back at the center. And once more, let your chin drop towards your chest. And then now we're going to roll the head through the front and just the front of the body. So starting with the chin drop down towards the chest. Your chin won't be touching your chest, but just the face is resting forwards. Roll your head now to the right, so your right ear rolls towards your right shoulder. And then back down again, chin down towards the chest. So you're going to inhale, roll your head up to the left. And then exhale back down to the center. So we're only rolling through the front, not going all the way around. Inhaling. Head rolls up to the right, exhaling down to the center. Inhaling up to the left, exhaling down to the center. And so on. Continuing soft and slow and steady. And you're going to finish with your chin drop down towards your chest. And then we're going to lift the head very slowly. So if you bring your attention to the back of the neck and the base of the neck, and just think about restacking the bones of the neck, the 7 vertebrae of the neck, one by one. So your head slowly lifts. And once again, sitting upright and looking forward. And if you need to change your upright position, so if you need to change your sitting position so that you stay comfortable, please do, or try standing up for a bit or sitting in a chair. You're going to put your hands out in front of you. Show me your hands. And fold your thumbs across the palms of your hands and give them a squeeze. Okay, so you're going to squeeze your thumbs, make quite tight fists. And then inhaling, spread out the fingers like starfish. Exhaling, squeeze. And inhaling, release, open up. Exhale, squeeze. And inhale, open. Squeeze on the exhale. Inhale, open them up. And then just give your hands a little shake. Ooh, shake out any stiffness or tension there. Okay, so we're going to go back to the fists, but this time with they don't need to be too tight, so the gentle fists. And you're going to rotate your fists around at the wrists. That rhymes, doesn't it? Fists and wrists. around both in the same direction. You're going to go again, halfway with the inhale, halfway with the exhale. And this is actually quite tricky, so you might have to concentrate a little bit. It's a very weird movement. Halfway as you breathe in, halfway as you breathe out. And we will go around the other way, but you might just want to have a little rest and give your wrists a little shake out again, shoulders a bit, and then again, loose fists and circle the opposite. Good. Halfway as you breathe in, halfway as you breathe out. Take care. I can feel myself want to do it. You end up kind of making quite a big movement here. It's really the arms stay still, and it's just the wrists that are moving. And your wrists are like, oh, that's nice. Or that might be really tricky. So if you feel yourself getting tense or stressed, oh, have a shake out. And yeah, that is quite tricky. So rest your arms. And take your arms out to the sides. Ta-da! Then bring your fingertips onto your shoulders. And we're going to inhale. Ta-da! Open up. And as you exhale, bring your fingertips onto your shoulders. And we're moving our elbows. So bless our elbows. I very rarely think about my elbows, I have to say. So send your elbows some love. See how it feels to be moving your elbows open and close. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. With this one, if you need to rest your arms at any point, just rest your arms, give your wrists a little shake. And then we're going to complete with our fingertips on our shoulders and make a circular movement again with the elbows that look something like this. So you can draw your elbows towards each other. They may touch, but likely won't. And then circle them around and back in. Lovely. Halfway around with your inhalation. Halfway around with your exhalation. So we're back into the shoulders now, but also the upper back and the center of the chest. See what range of motion you've got there. Lovely. Halfway with your inhale, halfway with the exhale. And then you might like to try going the opposite way. Soft, steady, smooth, ujjayi breathing. We'll go around 2 or 3 more times. As you lift your elbows, see if you can feel your shoulder blades actually lifting up off your back and sliding back down. Great. And you're going to rest your arms by your sides or on your lap and take a pause. Let your breath be free. And let the sensations in your shoulders and upper back come alive in your awareness. Okay, so there's one more area of the body where there are some joints that are kind of hard to move, but do benefit from some spaciousness and some freedom. It's actually the skull, so where the bones of the skull join. So what we're going to do to create some sensation here in the skull is actually some humming. So you're going to make quite a nasal hum that creates a buzzy feeling inside your head. So in Sanskrit, this is called Brahmari, a humming bee breath. And I think it feels particularly nice if you bring the palms of your hands over your eyes. So you rest the heels of your hands on your cheekbones, and then you're sort of supporting your cheekbones with your hands, so you can actually let your face relax down slightly into the support of your hands. and your eyes get to rest. And then with your hands like this, you hum. I'm going to hum 3 times. So you go ahead at home and hum 3 times as well. It needs to be quite nice and buzzy. So when you finished humming, you can slide your hands up over the top of your head. Leave your eyes closed because it'll feel very bright now. And give your head a massage with your fingers, so gentle shampooing. Shampooing or massaging the top of the head and the back of the head and the sides of the head. And then you could massage the back of your neck. So if you do one hand at a time, you just squeeze the back of the neck. Squeeze with one hand, squeeze the other hand with the other hand. And then you could squeeze the tops of your shoulders, first with one hand and with the other hand. And then you could brush your arms, so from the shoulders to the fingers. And you could brush down the sides of your body, down the front, down the back, wherever you can reach. Brushing down the legs as far as you can reach. And then I'd like to invite you to lie back down on your back or on your side and get ready for a practice of deep relaxation. So this is where, if you want to use bolsters and blankets to get really comfortable, I recommend you do so. If you need a quick break to go to the loo or rearrange your room or anything like that, do that. So we're just going to take some time to get everything set up, and we're going to lie down and rest. Okay, so a simple relaxation posture might be to lie down on your back, place a bolster or a couple of pillows behind your knees, place a pillow or a cushion behind your head, and cover yourself up with a blanket. You can cover yourself fully, or sometimes I just put a weighty blanket like this on my tummy for a feeling of security. Arms spread out by the sides, chin in line with the breastbone. You're looking for a position of comfort and ease in which you can let yourself completely relax and let go. So Shavasana is a pose. Asana means posture. Shavasana means corpse pose. But Shavasana is also a practice. It's not just about the pose, it's also about a practice in which we're willing to pay attention, even when nothing is happening. Or maybe something is happening. but at least we're not moving. So we are inviting the physical body to be completely still, and yet maintaining a willingness, a commitment to stay curious, to pay attention to sensations in our body, to let the sensations of our physical body come alive in our awareness, even though we're not moving. So the first step for this practice is to create the conditions in which you don't feel inclined to move. So choosing a version of this posture that works for your body so that you can really be at ease. Ensuring that you will be warm enough for this practice. Cover yourself up with a blanket or make sure you have your socks on. You may like to cover your eyes with an eye pillow or perhaps just a light scarf. And then enjoy a nice yawn or a sigh, a long exhalation that allows you to relax and let go. So finding a position of ease and allowing your whole body to settle. You could even do this practice seated, as long as you have some support to lean back into and relax. So you can let the body settle by really feeling the support that you have put in place. Whatever position you've chosen, feeling your contact with the ground or with the ground's representative, which could be furniture or yoga mats, bolsters. So feeling that contact between the body and its support. And then leaning into that support. Again, you might like to exhale, yawn or sigh. And give the weight of your body into the support underneath you. You can use your breath to deepen this experience. In particular, the exhalation. So I encourage you now to emphasize breathing out. And it could be Ujjayi breath as we've been practicing, or it could just be a long shh, or humming, or yawning, sighing. Emphasize the exhalation. And notice how when you do that, the inhalation tends to just arise by itself. You don't need to take it. And each time you breathe out, feel your body becoming a little more settled, a little more still, stable, soft, ready for Shavasana. And then allow for the breath to settle as well. Relaxing any control or agenda with the breath, and instead just letting the breath now become soft, subtle, and allow it to take care of itself. Let the breath find you. And now I want to invite you to allow the sensations of your body to become alive in your awareness. And I'm going to suggest you start this process inside your mouth, where often there are quite strong sensations. You might be aware of moisture inside the mouth, the sensations on the tongue, the insides of the cheeks, the roof of the mouth and the floor of the mouth, the whole mouth like a big ball of sensation. And follow the sensations from inside the mouth out towards the ears. Like you can travel along the inner ear canals, from the inside to the outside, becoming aware of the outer ears, the shape of the outer ears, and the little creases and folds and valleys in the ears. Being aware of the sensation of both ears together. And then moving the attention from the outer ears back inwards, going back in through the inner ear canals and back into the mouth. And then up into the nose, from the inside, from inside the mouth into the back of the nose, and feeling the sensation inside the nose, inside the nostrils. And then on the outside, the outer tips of the nostrils, and sensations on the outside of the nose. And now move your awareness to the eyes. And feel the eyes like two little balls resting in their sockets. The sensation of the eyes. Moving your attention up over the forehead and onto the scalp. Feeling sensations on the scalp or the top of the head. Perhaps aware of the hair follicles on the head. On the top of the head and on the back of the head. And noticing the sensations on the back of your neck, base of the skull and the back of your neck. And now from the back of the neck out across the tops of the shoulders. Feeling sensations in the tops of the shoulders. And now all the way down both arms. The upper arms, the elbows, forearms, the wrists, the backs of the hands, palms of the hands, and the thumbs and the fingers on both hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rest your attention in the palms of your hands and let the sensation of the palms of your hands come alive in your awareness. And now bring your attention to the base of the throat. You may like to swallow. Feel the sensations in the throat. And then in the center of the chest. The right side of the chest. Left side of the chest. The whole of the chest. Feel the sensations in your abdomen. You may be aware of the breath, the rising and falling of the breath. But also, there may be other sensations. There may even be sounds. Digestion happening. Or more subtle sensations. Warmth, coolness, tingling. In the front of the abdomen, in the back of the abdomen, sides of the abdomen. And welcome sensations from the pelvis. And now the hips. Right hip and left hip. Both hips together. Allow the hips to come alive in your awareness. Experiencing sensations in the hips. And around the buttocks and the lower back. And now moving your attention from the hips down both legs, feeling the sensations in the legs, the upper legs, knees, lower legs, ankles, top of the feet, soles of the feet, and each of the toes on both feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now leave your attention in the soles of the feet. And allow the sensations in the soles of the feet to come alive in your awareness. What can you notice there? What do you feel? Is it warm? Is it cool? Is there tingling or movement? How is it that you know your feet are there, even if you're not looking at them? And now bring your attention back to the palms of the hands. Right palm, left palm, both palms together. And again, let the palms of the hands come alive in your awareness, feeling the sensations in the palms of the hands. Are they warm or cool? Do you notice any tingling or other sensations? Are the sensations the same in the left side as in the right side? Are the sensations constant or do they change? And now move your attention back onto the top of the head, letting the top of the head come alive in your awareness, the sensations there on the top of the head, the scalp, the skin on the top of the head. And now from the top of the head, welcoming in sensation all around the body. Experience the whole body as one big sensation. The whole body, all together, all the way through. The whole body. Coming alive in your awareness, the whole body pulsating with life, with sensation. And now be aware of the sensation of breath flowing in the body. And resist, if you can, any urge to change or deepen the breath. Just see if you can catch yourself in the act of being breathed. Easy breathing, soft, subtle breathing. Let your attention float on this breath like a boat floating on the sea. Gently bobbing up on the inhalation and then gently bobbing down on the exhalation. The awareness just rests on the breath. As if like riding on a Ferris wheel. Up and around on the inhalation, down and around on the exhalation. The breath turning in the body. And the mind just rests on the rhythm of the breath. And start to really pay attention to the end of the inhalation. Just as the breath turns into an exhalation. And likewise, pay attention to the end of the exhalation. See if you can really feel the sensations as the breath turns from exhalation back into inhalation. And feel those sensations in the whole body. At the end of the inhalation, feel the whole body shift from inhale to exhale. At the end of the exhalation, feel the whole body turn, shift from exhale into inhalation. Aware of the breath flowing in the body and the sensations associated with the breath flowing in the body. Allow these sensations to become alive in your awareness. The whole body turning from inhale to exhale. The whole body turning from exhale to inhale. Om Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now align your attention with the midline or central axis of the body. Somewhere between the center of the pelvis, the center of the brain. And see if there's somewhere on that midline where you really feel most at home, or most at ease. You feel most like yourself, most connected with your felt sense of what's right, what's true, and who you really are, where you feel clear and free. And I encourage you now to breathe deeply into that space. Perhaps deepening your breath and breathing 3 or 4 times deeply into that space. And if you have an affirmation that you'd like to use, you could make an affirmation, or your affirmation could simply be to listen. I am listening. Or your affirmation might simply be a feeling, a sensation, being in some way connected and aligned with this sensation of ease, of freedom. And now gently wriggling your fingers and wriggling your toes, allow this practice to come to a close. So I'd like you to feel your body, feel the position of your body, the form of the body, and the support underneath you or at your back. Welcome in sounds. Listen to the sound of my voice, but also listen to other sounds. Listen to the sounds near you and just outside. Cast your attention out into the space around you. Situate yourself within your surroundings. And then welcome in the sound of your breath. And perhaps now you'd like to yawn or sigh. A slightly noisier breath. Connect with your sense of smell. Lick your lips or run your tongue along your teeth, see what you can taste. And picture clearly where you are. So you may not be ready to open your eyes, but just have an image in your mind of where you are, what it looks like, what you expect to see when you do. Begin to make bigger movements, yawning, stretching. You could circle your ankles, circle your wrists, roll your head from side to side. Perhaps bring your knees towards your chest, rock on your back. Knee circles. See what feels needed. Moving, intuitively moving, or not. You may feel a strong sense that staying more quiet, more still is what's needed. I'd like to invite you to roll over to one side and to let your eyes open. And then to come up to sitting for a final closing practice. Please know this practice of deep relaxation is now complete. Our practice of Shavasana and deep relaxation has now ended. This practice of deep relaxation is now complete. And I want to invite you to sit just for a short while. Again, you can sit on the floor or sit in a chair. And we're going to take a practice called the caring breath. And it is kind of a version of the alternate nostril breathing that we've been doing, but it's slightly more subtle and very heartwarming. And my sense is that heartwarmed is just where we all need to be right now. So you do this from an upright position. Rest your hands in your lap with your palms turned down. And we'll start with the right hand. So what you're going to do is inhale and turn your right palm up. It can just turn up on your lap, or you can lift it up into the air. As you exhale, bring the right hand onto the left side of your chest. And as you do that, you can tuck your chin as if you're sort of looking down at the hand. And you leave your hand there on the left side of your chest for one complete breath in and then out again. And then with your inhale, you lift your head and take the right hand away. And exhale, place the palm of your hand back down on the lap. So I'm going to go across to the other side. So you inhale, lift the left palm up. As you exhale, bring the palm of the left hand onto the right side of the chest and tuck your chin, right, slightly turning to the right. And you leave your hand there, one complete round of breath in and out. And inhaling, you take the left palm away. Exhale, turn the palm down and place it back down on your lap. So we're going to do that twice more to each side. I will do it with you and talk you through it, but if you find that you're going at your own pace, go ahead. So as you breathe in, lift the right palm. As you breathe out, bring the right palm onto the left side of the chest and turn the head. Rest your eyes. Feel the swell of the breath underneath the palm of your hand. One full breath in and out. And then inhale. Take the hand away from the chest. Exhale. Place it back down on your lap. Inhale, left palm up. Exhale, left palm to the right side of the chest, tuck the chin. And you stay one breath and feel the swell of the breath under your hands. Being touched from the inside. Inhale, taking the left hand forward and exhale, resting it back down on your lap. One more time to each side. So you inhale, lift the right palm. Exhale, it comes across the body to the left side of the chest. You tuck your chin and stay one breath. And see if you can cultivate this feeling of softness, of being heartwarmed. Inhale, bring the right hand forward. Exhale, place it back down. And now inhale, lifting the left palm. Exhale, bringing the left hand over the right side of your chest, tuck your chin, and you stay one breath. Inhale, bring the left hand forward. Exhale, rest it back down on your lap. And I invite you just to stay quiet, still, soft. Let the breath take care of itself. And then turn your palms away from your body and let the sensations in the palms of your hands come alive in your awareness. So again, being aware of the sensations in the palms of the hands. And now with an inhalation, bring the palms of your hands together. And as you exhale, guide the joint palms into the center of your chest. Bow your head and curl your lips into a smile. Thank you.